My uncle stole my $900,000 business by tricking me into signing fake insurance documents. His expression when I revealed the truth at Christmas dinner, in front of our entire family, absolutely priceless and utterly devastating. But before I tell you exactly how I carried out this incredible revenge, subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the incredible stories we share here. Trust is a dangerous currency in family business, and by 2022, I was beginning to realize that Uncle Marcus and I had very different exchange rates. Our Miami party rental empire, Elite Event Rentals, had grown from a desperate partnership between a broke 28-year-old and her father's ambitious brother into a $900,000 powerhouse that dominated South Florida's luxury event scene. But success had changed Marcus in ways I was only starting to recognize. Where he once included me in every major decision, now I'd find out about important client meetings through our shared calendar. Where he once celebrated our achievements, he increasingly spoke about his company's growth during industry networking events. The shift was subtle at first, like watching someone you love slowly disappear behind a mask you don't recognize. Marcus began taking longer lunch meetings with potential investors, conversations that were too preliminary to include me. He'd return from these meetings energized in a way that made my stomach clench with unspoken worry. "Just exploring options, mija," he'd say when I pressed for details. Always good to know what we're worth, right? But the way he said "we" felt hollow, like he was testing how the word tasted when it didn't really include me. I told myself I was being paranoid, that 10 years of equal partnership couldn't be erased by a few suspicious conversations. Our Monday morning coffee meetings, once sacred rituals of shared planning and mutual respect, became increasingly one-sided affairs where Marcus would announce decisions rather than discuss possibilities. "I've been thinking we need to modernize our client acquisition strategy," he'd say, sliding glossy marketing materials across my desk. "These consultants from Orlando have some interesting ideas about scaling operations." When I'd ask about budget implications or implementation timelines, he'd wave away my concerns with the patronizing smile of someone humoring a child's questions about adult matters. The man who had once treated me as an equal partner was slowly, systematically reducing me to a junior employee in my own company. The warning signs were everywhere, written in the language of shifted power dynamics and altered family relationships that I should have recognized sooner. Marcus started scheduling important vendor meetings during times when he knew I'd be managing on-site events, ensuring I'd miss negotiations that would historically have required both our input. He began introducing himself as the founder of Elite Event Rentals at industry conferences, a title that erased my contributions to our shared success with casual cruelty. When clients called asking specifically for me, Marcus would intercept the calls and handle the conversations himself, explaining later that he was streamlining communications to improve efficiency. But the most devastating change was watching Marcus transform from my beloved uncle into a stranger who calculated every interaction for maximum personal advantage. Family dinners became opportunities for him to practice his new narrative about Elite Event Rentals being his life's work, while I sat silently, choking on the lies that everyone else accepted as truth. He'd pat my shoulder condescendingly when introducing me to his new business contacts, saying things like, "Melody here has been such a helpful assistant in growing the company." Assistant. The word felt like acid in my ears, burning away years of mutual respect and shared dreams. By December 2022, I knew something was fundamentally wrong, but I couldn't have imagined the scope of Marcus's betrayal or the systematic way he was positioning himself to steal everything we'd built together. The uncle who had once treated me like a daughter was studying me like a chess opponent, calculating moves I couldn't see, and planning an endgame that would leave me with nothing. Every smile felt rehearsed, every conversation felt like a performance, and every day brought new evidence that the man I trusted most in the world was preparing to destroy me. The tragedy wasn't just that Marcus was planning to betray me, it was that I could see it happening and still couldn't bring myself to believe that family could be capable of such calculated cruelty. Love makes us blind to the evidence of our own destruction, and I was about to learn that lesson in the most painful way possible. The partnership that had defined my adult life was already over. I just didn't know it yet. January 15th, 2023, started like any other Monday morning, with Miami sunshine streaming through my office windows and the familiar rhythm of coordinating 3 weekend events still fresh in my mind. I was reviewing profit margins from the Henderson anniversary celebration when Marcus walked in carrying his laptop and that manila folder that would change everything. His energy was different that morning, higher, more excited than I'd seen him in months. "Melody, mi amor?" he said, settling into his usual chair with the casual confidence of someone about to solve all our problems. "I've got great news about protecting our business." The insurance angle was brilliant in its simplicity, exploiting both my trust in his expertise and my distraction with operational details that consumed most of my mental energy. The state of Florida has implemented new liability requirements for event rental companies," Marcus explained, opening his laptop to show me official-looking documentation that supported his story. After that lawsuit against Premier Parties in Tampa, insurance companies are requiring enhanced protection agreements for partnerships our size. His explanation sounded logical, even necessary, given the litigious nature of the event industry and our company's substantial asset base. Marcus had clearly researched every detail of his deception, providing context that made his lies feel credible and urgent. He showed me news articles about the Tampa lawsuit, discussed changes in Florida business law, and even referenced conversations with our insurance agent that I could easily verify later. "The deadline for compliance is January 31st, he said, creating artificial urgency that prevented me from taking time to review the documents carefully. "And if we don't file these updates, our liability coverage could be voided, leaving us exposed to catastrophic financial risk." The threat of losing insurance protection felt real and immediate, exactly the kind of administrative crisis that kept business owners awake at night. The documents themselves were masterpieces of legal camouflage, crafted by attorneys who specialized in making ownership transfers look like routine paperwork. Section headings referenced partnership protection protocols and enhanced liability frameworks. Language that sounded important without revealing the true purpose of what I was signing. Marcus walked me through each page with patient explanations about risk mitigation and compliance requirements, pointing to signature lines while maintaining eye contact that radiated trustworthy concern for our mutual welfare. "This just formalizes our existing partnership structure," he assured me, "while providing the additional protections the state requires." I signed every document where Marcus indicated, trusting him completely because doubt would have required me to believe that family could be capable of such elaborate betrayal. Each signature felt routine, administrative, the kind of boring legal necessity that successful businesses handle regularly to maintain proper compliance. Marcus witnessed my signatures with the solemnity of someone participating in an important but mundane business procedure, showing no external signs of the theft he was orchestrating with my own pen. When I finished signing, he gathered the documents with satisfied efficiency and promised to file everything with the appropriate agencies before the compliance deadline. What I had actually signed was a complete restructuring of Elite Event Rentals' ownership, transferring 40% of my stake to Marcus and reducing my control from equal partner to minority stakeholder. The legal language was technically accurate, but deliberately obscured, using terms like operational adjustments and partnership rebalancing to disguise the magnitude of what was being stolen. Marcus had effectively purchased my company from me for nothing more than the cost of attorney fees and printing, using my signature as authorization for my own financial destruction. The aftermath of signing felt anticlimactic, like any other day when tedious paperwork had been completed, and we could return to more interesting business matters. Marcus seemed relaxed and satisfied as he left my office, promising to handle all the filing requirements while I focused on our upcoming Valentine's Day events. I spent the rest of that Monday planning romantic tablescapes and coordinating delivery schedules, completely unaware that I had just signed away my financial security and professional future. The perfect crime had been committed with my full cooperation, and I wouldn't discover the theft for another 6 weeks. March 3rd, 2023, will forever be etched in my memory as the day my entire world exploded into fragments I couldn't piece back together. Our quarterly meeting with Janet Martinez, our accountant for 6 years, started routinely enough. Coffee, small talk about Miami's tourist season, preliminary review of tax preparation strategies for the approaching April deadline. I was feeling confident about our financial position, proud of the Q4 profits that had exceeded our projections, and excited about the spring wedding season that was already booking solid through July. Then Janet opened our partnership file with a confused expression that immediately made my chest tighten with undefined dread. Melody, I need clarification about your ownership percentage before we proceed with these quarterly projections, Janet said, adjusting her reading glasses with the careful precision of someone delivering potentially devastating news. According to the updated partnership documentation your attorney filed in January, you now own only 10% of Elite Event Rentals. Can you help me understand when this ownership restructuring occurred? Her words hit me like physical blows, each syllable landing with the impact of a sledgehammer against my understanding of reality. 10%. That was impossible. I owned 50% of our company. It was foundational to everything we'd built together. The blood drained from my face as Janet handed me the official documents bearing my signature, legal papers that clearly stated I had voluntarily transferred 40% ownership stake to Marcus Rodriguez, effective immediately upon execution. My hands shook as I read my own name signed at the bottom of pages that outlined the systematic theft of my life's work. Documents I remembered signing but had never actually read because I trusted Marcus to protect my interests. The insurance paperwork story crumbled instantly under the weight of legal reality, revealing the elaborate deception that had stolen my company, while I smiled and thanked my uncle for handling tedious administrative details. I called Marcus immediately from Janet's office, my voice somehow remaining steady despite the earthquake happening inside my chest. Tio, I'm at the accountant's office and there's been some kind of mistake with our ownership documents. Janet is showing me papers that say I only own 10% of the company now. This has to be an error, right? The silence on the other end of the line lasted exactly 3 seconds too long enough for me to understand that there was no mistake, no clerical error, no innocent explanation for what had happened to my life's work. Melody, we need to talk face to face. Meet me at the office in 1 hour. Marcus's voice had lost every trace of warmth and familial affection, replaced by the cold efficiency of someone discussing business with a stranger. The way he avoided answering my direct question told me everything I needed to know about his guilt, his intentions, and the calculated nature of what he had done to me. I drove back to our warehouse in a state of shock so profound that I don't remember the journey, my mind refusing to process the magnitude of betrayal that was waiting for me. The confrontation in our office was unlike anything we had experienced in 10 years of partnership, stripping away every pretense of family loyalty and revealing the cold business calculation that had motivated Marcus's theft. The opportunity was too good to pass up, he said without preamble, no longer bothering to maintain the fiction of caring about my welfare or our relationship. A private equity group from Atlanta wants to acquire established event rental companies throughout the Southeast. They need to work with majority owners who can make quick decisions without partner consultations. Your 10% stake still gives you a meaningful payout, but it allows me to handle negotiations efficiently. The casual way he discussed stealing my company felt like being slapped repeatedly by someone I loved, each word landing with the cruelty of calculated indifference to my pain. You planned this, I whispered, my voice breaking as the full scope of his betrayal became clear. The insurance story, the legal documents, the rushed timeline, you orchestrated everything to steal my company. Marcus shrugged with the dismissive gesture of someone brushing away an inconvenient interruption, straightening papers on his desk while I fought back tears of rage and devastation. Business is business, Melody. I saw an opportunity to maximize value and I took it. You're still getting paid. just not as much as you might have expected. But Marcus had made one critical error in his perfect crime. He had underestimated my determination to fight back and my intimate knowledge of every aspect of the business he had stolen. While he was celebrating his apparent victory and negotiating with potential buyers, I was already planning a counterattack that would teach him exactly what happens when you betray someone who has nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. My war against Marcus began with a single phone call on March 15th, exactly 12 days after discovering his betrayal, when I dialed the number for Elena Vasquez, Miami's most successful event planning consultant and our biggest client. Elena, it's Melody from Elite Event Rentals. I need to share some confidential information about potential service disruptions that could affect your upcoming events. My voice was steady, professional, betraying nothing of the devastation that had consumed my life for nearly 2 weeks, while I planned this systematic destruction of everything Marcus had stolen from me. The beauty of my strategy lay in leveraging the relationships I had built personally over years of exceeding client expectations and solving impossible problems under crushing deadlines. While Marcus had networked with industry contacts and played political games at trade shows, I had been the one actually managing day-to-day client relationships, earning their trust through consistent delivery of flawless events that exceeded every expectation. When I explained to Elena that internal ownership disputes might compromise Elite's ability to provide personalized service, she listened with the concern of someone protecting her own business reputation. What would you recommend, Melody? I can't risk my clients' events being compromised by business problems. Simultaneously, I was establishing platinum celebrations using $180,000 of my personal savings. Money originally intended for a house down payment, but now repurposed as seed capital for my liberation from Marcus's theft. The advantage of starting my second event rental company was avoiding every mistake I'd made during Elite's early years, knowing exactly which vendors offered the best terms, which clients were most profitable, and how to build operational efficiency from day one. Within 2 weeks, I had secured a warehouse lease in Doral, hired 3 key employees who followed me from Elite, and begun purchasing high-quality inventory that would serve my growing client base. The systematic transfer of Elite's most valuable clients to platinum celebrations required delicate timing and careful messaging that protected both my reputation and their events while destroying Marcus's business foundation. I would call clients directly with carefully crafted explanations about potential service disruptions due to ownership changes that might affect their special occasions. Mrs. Rodriguez, I wanted to reach out personally because I know how important Sophia's quinceañera is to your family. Due to internal restructuring at Elite Event Rentals, I'm concerned about service consistency. If you were to consider alternatives, platinum celebrations might provide the personalized attention you deserve. Each client defection created immediate cash flow problems for Marcus while building Platinum's revenue base. But the real damage came from the ripple effects throughout Miami's tight-knit event planning community. Vendor relationships I had cultivated began receiving calls about delayed payments and contract modifications, creating doubt about Elite's financial stability among suppliers who could destroy the company's operational capacity. I leaked strategic information about internal ownership disputes to industry gossip networks, allowing rumors about instability and potential bankruptcy to spread organically through professional associations and trade publications. By September 2023, Elite Event Rentals was hemorrhaging clients and reputation while Marcus scrambled to understand why his stolen company was collapsing around him. The private equity group from Atlanta had reduced their acquisition offer from $900,000 to $400,000 as they recognized they would be purchasing a business with serious operational challenges and uncertain market position. Every price reduction was a victory for my cause, proof that Marcus's theft was becoming increasingly worthless while platinum celebrations grew stronger through the clients and relationships I was systematically transferring to my new company. The final phase of my plan required patience and perfect timing, waiting for Marcus to become desperate enough to accept an offer that would complete his destruction while restoring my financial position. By November 2023, With Elite's value continuing to plummet and the Atlanta group threatening to withdraw their interest entirely, Marcus was ready to consider any reasonable offer that would salvage something from his disintegrating theft. That's when my attorney, representing an anonymous investment group, contacted him about purchasing Elite Event Rentals for $150,000, a fraction of its original value, but enough to escape the mounting problems that were consuming his stolen empire. December 24, 2023, arrived with the crystal-clear perfection that only South Florida can deliver during the holidays, and I spent the morning preparing for our traditional family dinner with the anticipation of someone about to witness the ultimate triumph of justice over betrayal. The manila envelope sitting on my passenger seat contained documents that would transform this peaceful Christmas celebration into a courtroom where Marcus would finally face judgment for his crimes against family and business ethics. I had chosen this sacred family occasion deliberately. Marcus had weaponized family trust to destroy me. So it seemed perfectly appropriate to use the same family gathering to expose his character and complete his destruction. Marcus greeted me at his Pinecrest home with the same warm embrace he had given me every Christmas for 35 years, completely unaware that this would be the last time he would ever touch me with anything resembling familial affection. The house was decorated with the familiar opulence that had characterized every Rodriguez family Christmas since childhood, twinkling lights reflecting off expensive ornaments, the aroma of my aunt's famous lechon filling the air with memories of happier times when family meant protection rather than predation. "Melody, mi sobrina favorita," he said with genuine seeming warmth. "I'm so glad you're here. This family wouldn't be complete without you." The dinner conversation flowed with traditional family rhythm, cousins sharing career updates, aunts discussing vacation plans, uncles debating politics with passionate intensity that characterized every Rodriguez gathering. Marcus was particularly animated, regaling everyone with stories about his business acumen and the recent sale that would fund his comfortable retirement. "After 10 years of building Elite Event Rentals, I finally found the right buyer," he announced proudly, raising his wine glass in celebration of his own success. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions to maximize value, but that's what separates successful entrepreneurs from dreamers." Every word felt like another betrayal, but I smiled appropriately while mentally rehearsing the revelation that would destroy his world. When dessert plates were cleared and the family had settled into post-meal contentment, I stood up and gently tapped my wine glass to gather everyone's attention. "I have an announcement that will interest everyone here, especially Uncle Marcus and his recent business success," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the suddenly quiet dining room. Marcus looked up with mild curiosity, probably expecting gracious acknowledgement of his mentorship or gratitude for opportunities he had provided over the years. The relaxed smile on his face revealed a man who had no idea his entire world was about to implode with volcanic force. 3 months ago, Marcus tricked me into signing documents that stole 40% of my ownership in Elite Event Rentals, reducing my stake from 50% to just 10%, I announced, watching as confusion and shock spread across my family members, faces like ripples from a stone thrown into still water. He told me they were insurance updates, but they were actually ownership transfer documents that gave him control of the company I helped build for 10 years. The silence that followed was deafening, broken only by soft Christmas music and the distant sound of children playing, while Marcus's face transformed from confusion to panic as he realized his secret was no longer secret. But here's where the story gets really interesting," I continued, opening my manila envelope and withdrawing the purchase agreement that would complete Marcus's humiliation. While Marcus was celebrating his theft and preparing to sell his company to private equity investors, I was systematically destroying the value of what he had stolen by transferring our best clients to my new company, Platinum Celebrations. The 900 our business he stole from became worth an $150,000 by the time he was desperate enough to accept an offer from an anonymous buyer. The gasps around the table were audible now, family members beginning to understand the scope of the chess game that had been playing out while they remained oblivious to the war within their own family. "That anonymous buyer was me," I announced, holding up the signed purchase agreement bearing Marcus's signature and my corporate seal. Through platinum celebrations, I bought back elite event rentals for $150,000, less than I had in personal savings and a fraction of what the company was worth when Marcus stole it from me. So not only did I recover my stolen business, I bought it back at an 83% discount while building a competing company that's already more profitable than Elite ever was. The explosion of voices around the dinner table was immediate and chaotic, but all I could focus on was Marcus's face, the expression of a man watching his entire world collapse in real time. "You destroyed me," Marcus whispered, his voice barely audible above the family chaos surrounding us, his hands shaking as he grasped the magnitude of how completely he had been outmaneuvered by someone he had dismissed as a naive victim. "No, Marcus," I replied with the calm satisfaction of someone who had achieved perfect justice through patience and precision. "You destroyed yourself the moment you chose greed over family. I just made sure you paid the full price for that choice." As I looked around the table at my family members, some shocked, some proud, all of them understanding the true character of the man they had trusted for decades, I felt the deep satisfaction that comes from proving that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad. It's getting everything back with interest.